time for you to look inward and begin asking yourself the big questions.
It's no secret that Zuko from Avatar: The Last Airbender has one of the best character arcs in all of television history, embodying a transformation that resonates on a universal scale. And yes, this tale of redemption has been dissected and discussed over and over for the last 15 years, but I promise I'm about to deliver to you a take that's fresh
And juicy.
Welcome to Movie Meditations. It's time to sit back, relax, and discreetly heat up some tea.
I don't need any calming tea!
As we prepare to dive into the two key spiritual lessons hidden within the compelling character arc of Prince Zuko. As I said in my previous video covering the show, if you haven't seen Avatar: The Last Airbender yet, you need to close YouTube right now and give that a watch. And just to be clear, the animated version, not the new live action version. Okay, and I think this goes without saying, but massive spoilers ahead. It's clear that Zuko starts out the series with an all-consuming pursuit of honor and a literal pursuit of Aang, who is the last airbender, the Avatar, the world's only hope for bringing balance back into the world, and Zuko's only hope to return home after his banishment. Zuko strongly believes that capturing the Avatar, regaining his father's approval, and being welcomed back to the Fire Nation as the Crown Prince is his ultimate purpose, and will give him the contentment and satisfaction which he seeks. Well, after years of searching and 2 seasons of chasing Aang and the gang all around the 4 nations, he does attain the status that he had been searching for.
And after 3 long years, your prince has returned!
He gets to return to the Fire Nation, his father thinks he's killed the Avatar, his honor is restored, and he has all of what he thought he wanted. But then the unpleasant truth reveals itself. He becomes more miserable, more angry, and more confused than ever.
I admit it. I have everything I always wanted, but it's not at all how I thought it would be.
And this leads us to the first key spiritual lesson. Our minds often get caught in a trap thinking that once we gain some sort of status, some achievement, or some approval, then we will be content. Obtaining this or that achievement will be the thing that takes away the feeling of lack or insecurity inside of us. Whether it's a new promotion or reaching a certain number in a bank account or gaining approval of someone, we often believe that these changes in our external circumstances will solve our spiritual problems and fulfill our deepest desires. Before we dive into this any deeper, it's important to note that there's nothing wrong with having goals or wanting to be successful or achieving certain things. Where the issue arises is when we hook our contentment onto these external milestones, when we're feverish toward attaining those goals, and when we believe that getting those things will bring us the deep spiritual satisfaction that we seek. I think my meditation teacher Gurudev sums this thought up well in his book, Notes for the Journey Within. Nothing in this material world can give you contentment. An outward-looking mind seeking contentment gets discontented, and then the discontentment grows. Complaints and negativity start hardening the brain, clouding the awareness, and forming a huge cloud of negative energy. When the negativity reaches its peak, like an overflated balloon, it bursts and comes back to the divine. This is exactly the trajectory that Zuko takes. He's completely unhappy.
You blow up over every little thing.
Hankering for status and for approval to feel complete. And because of this, he's narrow-minded and pushes out the things that actually add beauty and meaning into his life, and attracts the things that only bring more feverishness and problems until he can't bear it anymore. It becomes so unbearable to stay in that negativity from acting in that space of ignorance that he finally resolves to realign and to change course. But this is just the first part of the first lesson. As he slowly starts to realize that his purpose of attaining status and approval in the eyes of his father and nation was an empty pursuit, and after much reflection and difficult conversations with Uncle Iroh, he understands that his purpose is bigger than acquiring some honor for himself, and he decides to become the Avatar's firebending teacher and strive to bring balance back into the world. This evolution resonates with us so deeply because it represents a major step on the journey to spiritual maturity. The journey from, how can I get what I think I deserve, to, how am I here to serve? When we're constantly focused on ourselves and how we can achieve this or that to gain status, or how we can gain the approval of other people for our ego, then no matter how much power and position we have, our life will feel small and constricted, and often filled with anxiety, tension, and negativity. This is why spiritual teachers from time immemorial have emphasized the importance of selfless service on the spiritual path. Whether it's the practice of karma yoga from the East or Jesus' message to his disciples in the West, having a mentality of service and what can I do for others is a sign of spiritual maturity and also a step towards spiritual maturity. But now for the second lesson, which is hidden in powerful symbolism toward the end of season 3. After the episode The Day of Black Sun, Zuko has internally shifted from his small ego to following his larger awareness, his deeper self. This is shown in his decision to confront his father and to leave the Fire Nation to find Team Avatar, though this time not to capture him, but to teach him firebending. But just when Team Avatar decides to accept Zuko into the gang, he seems to have lost 95% of his firebending ability. And this predicament highlights a significant spiritual evolution that Zuko embodies, which connects with us on a deep level. When the source of our drive, or in this case literal fire, disappears, what's left to fuel us? For Zuko, rage from his banishment and the quest for approval had been his go-to firebending energy source. Without them, he's forced to confront an inner void of energy and find a new, healthier source of power. Something similar can happen to those who start out on the spiritual journey. After many attempts running after the next status achievement, the next relationship, or approval of parents or peers, we start to see that maybe we're not looking in the right place. But then, if we're not chasing those things, then where does our motivation come from? Where is the source of our energy and enthusiasm for life? This can be a very confusing time. You're not inspired, you're not energized to keep going down the same path, and yet you don't know what is the next right path you should start going down. Zuko's story highlights two important keys to regaining your energy and direction established in wisdom as opposed to illusion. The first key comes in the symbolism hidden in the episode The Firebending Masters, when Zuko and Aang decide to seek out the source of firebending in order to bring back Zuko's abilities. The spiritual wisdom here is that to find the energy to live out your highest purpose, to regain your enthusiasm for life, you must go to the source. Okay, so in your life, this probably doesn't mean to go find the last dragons hidden by an ancient civilization. So what does this represent? Well, here's another highly relevant excerpt from Notes for the Journey Within. Contentment is your nature. Spiritual practice is going toward your nature. The moment we become aware of our source and our own infinite nature, our whole life transforms. It's like someone suddenly realizing how wealthy he is. So this is just a starting place, a pointer. If you're asking how do we move to our true nature? Well, for starters, through prayer, through breathing and meditation, through learning how to calm the mind with all its superficial desires and distractions, and to start listening to the quiet yet powerful, deep calling within our heart.
Yeah, it's like the sun, but inside of you.
And this journey inward to find the source can seem long and perilous, with many roadblocks and traps put there by our ego. But the wisest among us have said for millennia that nothing is more worth it. But to sidestep the roadblocks and avoid some of these traps and overcome the challenges on this journey to the infinite source, this brings us to the second part of the second lesson that reveals itself through Zuko's character arc: the importance of having the humility and wisdom to take the guidance of a master. But now I'm realizing that this video is already too long, and this is a major theme throughout this TV series, which we'll explore in a future video. But whether you're feeling like Zuko at the beginning of his spiritual quest, or more like Uncle Iroh, I think you'll find tremendous value from the book Notes for the Journey Within by my meditation teacher Gurudev, where a lot of the wisdom which I use in these videos comes from, and where you can get some guidance on your journey to finding the true source of peace, beauty, and joy within. I hope this is enough for you to meditate on until next time.